Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Out of Our League. I am McKenna, and with me today is our producer, GF Too Cool. Hello, Gage. How are you today?
I'm great. Everything is fine. I totally didn't just hit the wrong scene and had 6 cameras on screen instead of 5. Totally didn't. Everything is smooth transitions. Everything's going great. It's gonna be a fun show.
Everything sounds great.
Nothing's on fire.
No, never. The man with no face, but an epic voice. Ben, Please Be Excited. How are you, Ben?
What's up? I'm great, McKenna. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
That's great. I'm excited. This is going to be a good one.
Woohoo! And we also have semi-solid snake, Phil J. Woodward. How are you today, Phil?
I'm doing great. And Jose, I just wanted to say, you're pretty good.
Yay.
And our special guest, the man with many names, Jose Ruckus. How are you, Jose?
I am wonderful today. Very good day here.
That's fantastic. So the first question is, who are you? Who are you?
Okay.
Why?
It feels like there's a lot to dig in there.
Who is Jose Ruckus? Who is Brandon? Who is the Aces Wild Pod? What's going on? Tell us everything.
Okay, I am Jose Ruckus. I am the world's #1 Wild Aces fan. My name, of course, is actually Brandon, and not Jose or Josh, as Nick likes to call me. I'm just a guy from California who likes football and kind of funny, and I figured out a way to put those two together.
Fantastic. So just to start off, I have a question. That because you mentioned the podcast and everything, and I've wanted to know, what has been your favorite part of doing the podcast?
It's pretty hard to just kind of pick one, but like the amount of people I've got to meet through doing it is like amazing. You know, getting to do a one-on-one interview with Greg was incredible. Having him, you know, actively check my DMs and read them on stream is pretty cool. Getting to meet Jordy, getting to hang out with him a couple times, getting to like be friends with him, super cool. Meeting Matt, meeting Dino, Ashley, McKenna. We get like a lot of friends that I've made through doing the show. It's like just the best.
Podcast,
awesome.
very good. 10 out of 10. I'll tell you that.
Thank you.
I mean, it's helped me. I mean, like, I don't know football, and it's certainly helped me figure out how football works, which has been very nice and helpful to watch the games. I think I've said helpful like 3 times now, but it's helped me, figure out like, oh, that thing is happening, that's good, or that thing's happening, that's bad, and why it is and whatnot. So, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's because I don't actually know all that much about football, if we're being honest. Like, I never played football. I didn't get into football until like much later in my life and stuff. So like, I know more than the average person just because I like the sport. Other people talk about it, but like as far as like being able to educate people on the show, it's really nice because I have a resource around, like my brother who's a football coach, and he has coaches friends, and all my cousins play the game and stuff. So I'm able to talk to other people to sort of figure out ways to talk about the sport and ways for people to understand it.
Mm-hmm. Great. Ben, do you have any questions for our good friend Jose?
I do have some questions. So I guess firstly, I want to know from you, what do you kind of think we're going to see in FCF Season 2? Obviously, we loved the first season. It was amazing. Do you think they're going to mix it up? Do you think we're going to see something different? What are you sort of expecting there?
I don't expect too much to change over the next season. It would be interesting to see if they go from the 7-on-7 to an 8-on-8. That's kind of been batted around. There was just a lot of situations in the first season where it felt like the defenses weren't able to compete in like a proper way, a bunch of it, and that kind of shook out later in the season and stuff. But I think I think that's like the big change everybody wants to see, which is a way for defenses to be able to keep up with the offenses a little bit more. And then I think that we're going to see the power-ups completely change. Like, I think apart from maybe one of them, I don't expect to see like the 5th down. Maybe that comes back, but I doubt it. The flip the field almost completely lost what it was originally intended to do and stuff. So I think they're going to completely rework the sport.
So what do you personally want to see? What would you like to see out of season 2?
There's a couple things I'd like to see. I would like to see ways for the team, like we discussed it a lot, which was no huddle, which is a like really common strategy in the other leagues, is completely impossible in that league. And I think one of the power-ups they should do is allow a quarterback to go into no huddle. I think that creates fun situations for the draft, where you can draft a quarterback who you know is going to be really good under no huddle, and then you can bring them in to do that with a power-up. I think stuff like that would be cool. Just a little bit more deeper in draft strategy than just being like, hey, let's try to take the best guy. I think that's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds pretty damn good to me. Hopefully they do that. That'd be fantastic.
Philip J. Woodward.
I said
I'm sorry, Ben.
Sorry, I was just saying I said doo-doo. Whoops.
Fantastic. Phil.
Yes.
What are your questions?
Well, first of all, is Jose frozen for anybody else?
Yes, he is.
In the best possible way, too.
Is he gone?
Because for me,
Oh gosh, we have a robot. I thought we invited a person onto the show, but I guess it's just a robot.
Devoured by the Discord void.
Maybe it was one of like Greg Miller's robots, but you know, it was like one of the malfunctioning ones.
Error.
That's why. Oh, he's back.
Oh?
We see him again.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
There he is.
that's problematic.
Oh no.
That's all good.
Turn off your virus protection. It'll be fine.
We don't need a lawsuit.
Wait, what's that?
So we don't need a lawsuit. He turns it off, his computer gets virus.
Oh, that's true. Then he can come after Simply Sassy. That's not good.
Yeah.
After all that Simply Sassy money, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So much.
$0.
I think we're actually a negative because of all the equipment and gear that we've had.
I know we've probably spent more money trying to get everything set up and working.
He's back.
Am I back?
Woo! Yeah.
I can hear some dialogue coming from your microphone now. So
That's good.
hit us with a haiku.
I'm not prepared for that.
I'm pretty sure not many people would be, to be fair. I think okay. So my biggest question is, where did the name Jose Ruckus come from? Why did this become the way that everybody knows you, even though your real name is Brandon?
Okay, so it's a bit of a long story. I grew up watching wrestling and being a big fan of like the early 2000s era of SmackDown, which I think is one of the best wrestling products that's ever been put on screen. And a big thing about that was that it was there were a lot of upfront like popular Latino stars on that show. And I grew up in a super heavy Mexican community. I'm half Mexican myself and stuff. So like guys like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero, these guys are like super, super popular. And playing video games, wrestling, you do a lot of creative character stuff, a lot of, fooling around and doing wrestling when you're a kid and stuff. And so I wanted to make like a luchador style character when I was playing like No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000 stuff. And so I came up with the name. I don't even know how I got the name, but Jose Ruckus. And I sort of used that whenever I was doing wrestling stuff. Whenever I did a creative character, anything like that, that was always the name that I would use. And then a few years ago, I started kicking around with the idea of doing like a sports blog or something, wanting it to be like comedy focused and stuff. But also like I like sports. We've tried to do me and my brother have tried to do some other sports type podcasts before and stuff, but we couldn't really ever get anything to like work right or gel in a way that we wanted to. And so I wanted to do these like comedy sports articles or blogs or whatever. But I also didn't want to have my name just be associated with dumb sports guy. So I thought about when I would do these articles, I was like, I should do them under the name Jose Ruckus. And then when we were planning out Aces Wild, the podcast, it was again like there's a character from the Dan Le Batard show, which if Andy Cortez is a huge fan of that, and I started watching it because of him. But they have a character on there named Peepo, who is this like just diehard Miami Hurricanes fan, and he's super annoying, and he doesn't really know anything about the sport. It's just it's the Miami Hurricanes are the best of all time. And I thought about doing something similar to that when doing the podcast. Like that's why I was calling it like the world's #1 Wild Aces fan and stuff like that, because I wanted to sort of parody the really obnoxious sports fan who only cares about his team and doesn't actually follow the league as a whole. And that kind of not ended up being what the show was, because we were able to do a lot more interviews than I thought we were going to do and a lot more serious stuff. So the name is sort of incongruous with what the product is now, but we're just kind of stuck with it, and I think it's cool. So
the biggest thing I gained from all of that information is that it was originally created as a wrestling name. So that leads me to wonder, how many flips, rolls, and twists does this character have in his repertoire?
A lot of flips. A lot of flips. Big fan of wrestlers who do flips. Probably a lot of twists. Ideally, it would be like I'm a little more on the Eddie Guerrero side of things and the Rey Mysterio things. So not a whole lot of like super high flying, doing a whole bunch of flips and stuff. A little more technical wrestling, but yeah, it's the luchador style is just amazing. A lot of flips, a lot of twists, fun stuff.
Nice. That's awesome. Another question that I had. So you said you got into sports later in life. What got you into sports? What was the catalyst that was like, holy crap, sports?
So it was a couple things kind of all coming together at once. One was fantasy football. Just a game that's sort of related to the sports, but you don't have to be a sports fan to actually play it. My family had a league that needed a spot, so I took it and just sort of started learning about football through that. At the same time, I had a friend who, I live in Northern California, so mostly here it's Raiders fans, 49ers fans, but I have a friend from the Pacific Northwest who is a huge Seahawks fan. And so when I was watching football, a lot of the time I was watching it with him when we were hanging out. And I learned about guys like Marshawn Lynch, who's like my favorite football player of all time. Super funny dude, really hard runner. Started off being just a fan of him, but through following him and watching him, I became like a super big Seahawks fan. And that's right around the same time that Seahawks team got like really good. Also living in around the exact same time is during the San Francisco Giants dynasty era, where they won in 2010, 2012, 2014. So right around that 2011, 2010, I'm starting to watch football. The Giants are really good, so I'm starting to watch them. And then that just sort of snowballed into just sports in general.
That's awesome. Now, would you agree that fantasy football is basically Dungeons and Dragons for people that like sports?
So that actually used to be the name of our league for a while. It's not exactly. There's not a lot of, because I mean there are a lot of others like fantasy baseball is actually probably more like Dungeons and Dragons for jocks, because that's very serious. You have to be like into it, almost 100% pretending to be a baseball manager. Fantasy football is more like it's more like an MMO for jocks, where it is more about just like hanging out and like I don't know if you ever played like World of Warcraft back in the day and stuff, but having your big old spreadsheets out to figure out how to max out your gear and stuff, that's more what my experience of playing fantasy football is like.
That's awesome. That was actually a way better explanation than I expected, and I loved it.
I've thought about it before. I don't.
It's just always one of those things, because people look at people that play video games or do Dungeons and Dragons as quote unquote nerdy, but then they'll turn around and do something like fantasy football, and I'm like, well, isn't that kind of nerdy, but it's a different type of nerdy? Like, can't we all just be cool nerds? Why can't we just all be cool nerds?
I think I agree with that.
I had a question. So you mentioned Marshawn Lynch, and he, if I recall, is the owner of the Beast, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So why did you choose the Wild Aces over the Beasts then?
Kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Okay.
Because I'm also Richard Sherman. I'm a huge fan of Richard Sherman. Not so much anymore because he betrayed us and went to the 49ers, but that's beside the point. But so these other Seahawks are involved in the ownership groups and stuff, and my fandom for them is a lot more passive. Like, it is just, I'm a fan of them. Whereas, as you guys know, kind of funny. I mean, you guys just had Greg on not too long ago and like completely blew up everything because of that. It's a much more it's not a passive fandom, right? Marshawn Lynch would not have been on the 4th episode of whatever the Beast podcast would have been, So my love for kind of funny and the community in general is much larger than it is for a lot of things.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is easily, the Kind of Funny community is easily one of the best communities out there, for sure. There's so much good stuff that comes out of this community. So many connections and people that I never would have met without being part of this community.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Nice.
Gage, did you have any questions for Jose Ruckus?
Gage slowly looks over to the monitor, then begins to think.
I want you to narrate everything for me now, Phil. I guess I know we kind of touched on parts of this already, but just content creation in general. I know you talked about how you wanted to do like the sports blog, like the comedy kind of driven sports blog and stuff like that. Was content creation as a whole something you've always kind of had a passion for in some sense, or was it more of just here's an idea for this one thing I could do that kind of just steamrolled into what it's become now?
So I spent like all of high school and a little bit afterwards playing in bands. Not so much working on, like a lot of people, would spend their high school time doing YouTube and stuff. And I was writing songs and playing concerts and recording and stuff. And I think a lot of that sort of turned into me wanting to do content creation. When I kind of retired from playing in bands and it just became too stressful and stuff, trying to find things that I could primarily do by myself. And that sort of turned into writing a lot more. And for a long time, I was focused on trying to be a writer. And I wrote some short stories and stuff like that, wrote a unpublished novel and things like that. But it has always been like sort of like a driving thing for me to try to do something that I can put out there and share with other people and stuff. And I think I just found starting to try out, like I'd probably done like somewhere between 5 and 10 other podcasts before I did Aces Wild, trying out a bunch of different things, trying to find something that worked, and then just sort of landed into this.
Awesome. I just love how you're just going to drop that you wrote a novel and just move right past that.
Oh, it's not good. Like, there's nothing to talk about there. It's not a good novel.
You still did it, though. Like, I've tried to write stories in the past, and I'll get like 3 pages in, and then it's like, I'm going to go play video games, and I never get back to it. So the fact that you actually did that's impressive.
It is, I mean, but like you guys, like in the content creation side of things, you guys do so much more than I do. I'm on like a couple month hiatus right now from the podcast because I just don't know what to do with it until like we start building into season 2. Like, so it is that same level. It is just like the drive of content creation in some way or another, wherever it kind of finds you. And I've been lucky enough to be able to bounce around a couple different areas of it between music and then writing and then now doing this,
Awesome.
You're still blowing past the whole idea that you wrote a novel, and
It's I mean,
how have I not heard about this?
Where can we find it? Where can we read it?
You can't. It's not good, and nobody should read it.
That's not for you to decide, is it? That's up for us to decide. We might love it.
It's true.
It's your choice. It's your choice to publish it, but it's our choice if we like it or not.
It is something like
What's it about?
writing
Buddy?
a novel. It's a horror novel.
Yes, we definitely need to see this.
It's in like the Lovecraftian horror kind of genre and stuff. Bloodborne and like True Detective inspired and stuff. It needs a lot of rewrites. The story completely falls apart towards the end and stuff. It's one of the it probably took
Sounds
me
like
about,
every horror movie for the most part.
It probably took about 2 months to write, and like 2 months is like way too fast to write something really cohesive. It would need quite a bit of work.
About the amount of time it took them to write the story for Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Damn. I would have said like 6 or something, but you got to go after one of the good games. Okay.
Jeez,
I'm just saying, 7 falls apart towards the end, so it makes sense, right?
Hey,
It follows in line.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So what it sounds like is that you should definitely keep working on it and get it to a point of polish. Stephen King, has some stuff that he talks about writing, and he says keep writing until you write something that makes it seem like you meant to write it that way. And now that I'm thinking about that might actually have been Neil Gaiman, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is a thing where I keep legal notepads all over my house and stuff, and like I've done 2 episodes of the show Pitch It now. The second episode actually dropped today for Batman and stuff. So like I'm writing stories and stuff all the time. Like I have like a writer's brain and stuff. And
I made the logo for that show.
Oh really? It's a good show. Good logo.
Thank you.
But I am like I have a bunch of notes about that novel, and maybe one day we'll get back to it and stuff. But like I'm having a lot of fun doing this right now, and writing's a lot.
You've obviously got a big passion as well for film, which we'll talk about absolutely. But do you see yourself as the end goal here to potentially try and actually write a screenplay? Is that a passion that you might want to? Is that something you're considering or looking at getting into?
I've thought about it. I definitely have ideas, but I don't think so. I definitely don't have the connections to make that kind of thing into a reality, and definitely don't have any of the technical know-how to go out and do it on my own. So screenplay stuff, probably not. Maybe eventually we would get into the area of me like publishing a novel. I actually have thought about ideas for doing so, because I actually stopped reading fiction novels a couple years ago and only read fiction stuff. And so I've had some ideas about maybe in a couple years doing an FCF book, and I've taken some notes for that. That might be fun. That might be something that eventually comes together, but we'll see. We just kind of go where it takes me.
That would be really cool to kind of figure out and navigate the way of kind of writing that story, talking to the people that, created it and getting behind, like, where did the idea come from? What was your guys' like roadmap? How did the plan go from start to execution? How do you feel like things went, versus the idea you had, and then the completed first season, and getting like little blurbs from different people. That sounds like a great idea. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool, especially like when you start looking in, like the FCF has been some way or another for about 5 years now. They've sort of, did like they called this the beta test, right? They were sort of doing this alpha test version with this team called the Screaming Eagle at one point, and like we're getting to the point where I think when we get into season 2, when they add 2 more teams into stuff, this is like the culmination of like a much bigger process than I think anybody really realizes. And I think it would be cool to kind of like let Patrick Dees and Sohrab Faroudi like kind of tell that story of building this thing.
That's cool.
That'd be awesome.
I think so.
Now, obviously, we mentioned you're obviously a big fan of film, and I'm a huge fan of this this podcast. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called HBO Max. So I kind of want to know you sort of, I guess, your history and what got you into films, and also want to know what some of your favorite films are.
I don't know if there's anything that particularly got me into film. Film has just been a thing that's been a part of my life forever. My parents are like casual film fans, but just growing up, there's the sort of people who just always had a movie on TV, just in the background and stuff, and like spending a lot of time like watching the same movies over and over again, just whatever movies they liked. And you know how like TBS here will just like buy like 3 movies for like the next couple months and just show them like every other day. And so just having those just sit on there, so you're watching, Speed like 5 times in a month. And so just sort of like, watching the same kind of movies over and over again, and then getting into high school and starting to get more serious about it around the time I watched the movie Boondock Saints, which is not a particularly good movie, but like it is one of those like Artur filmmaker who he made it by himself. You can hear a lot, like if you ever listen to Kevin Smith and stuff when he did like those kind of funny interviews, like he talked about
we have Robot Jose back again.
Yeah, we're dropping you quite a bit.
And gone. Perfect great facial pause, though. Love it.
It's
I think
so
it's
good.
the same one from earlier. It's just a perfect redo.
That was crazy, Phil. Like I was thinking, like you're wearing the same clothes that you were for the Out of LA last week with Judy.
I know, it's so weird, right?
So was McKenna. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's almost like nothing has changed from one episode to the other.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's always interesting,
Yeah, if you
So how are you guys all going? Are you all going good?
things are
Living
great.
it up.
Everything's working.
things are-
I'm very happy.
McKenna, honestly, you're killing the hosting, buddy. You just did a
Oh,
great job.
I'm feeling very, very nervous.
You're doing a great
awesome,
job.
buddy.
Fantastic job.
I'm gonna read some Neil Gaiman quotes while we're waiting here. A book
I'm
is
gonna
a
get it right this
dream
time.
that you hold in your hands. That's a quote from Neil.
Holding stuff in his hands.
I learned to write by writing. Also a great quote by Neil.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Stories may well be lies, but they are good lies that say true things and which can sometimes pay the rent. I mean, this is gold right here, everybody.
This guy, what does he write, Phil?
Oh my God! Wait, what?
Who is he?
Neil Gaiman?
Yeah, what is he
Writer of
written?
Sandman, American Gods, nothing.
I
Bunch of
forget
stuff.
Is it the Amazon Prime show? Did he write the thing that it's based on?
Yeah, he's written a lot of stuff.
I've
That's a
heard
very
of
prolific writer.
Coraline.
Oh my God.
Coraline. I know Coraline. The movie's terrifying. It scares
Speaking
me.
of quotes, there's a really good one I like to live my life by. It's you know what they say: fool me once, strike one, but fool me twice, strike three. From the one and only Michael Gary Scott. From the Office.
Ooh.
I thought you were going to say, I don't want your laugh. What are you going to do? Yeah.
Kids
Okay,
will make their
preference.
nightmares up out of anything. And the important thing in fiction, if you're giving them nightmares, is to demonstrate that nightmares are beatable. That's a great quote.
It's true.
I wish more
I
people
hope
did
that
then.
in this. What's
I've
that?
I've seen like a lot of horror movies and stuff, or played horror games, where that's just false. It's like you can't win, you're gonna die,
Yeah, like-
everything's over, and I'm like, I don't like this anymore. Like, what the hell?
Actually, that's very much like Friday the 13th and a lot of horror films like that. Quarantine is another one where it's like the monster is not dead by the end of the movie, or is it, the villainy is not over. You didn't actually kill the monster. Yeah, that's actually really interesting.
So on horror, I've been meaning to pick your brain about this because obviously after we had Prince Jackson on a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my God.
Show, by the way, you should check it out if you haven't. But obviously you've started listening to a Nightlight podcast. How are you enjoying it, buddy?
Oh, dude, it's so good, right? Good. It's so good. So I'm only listening to the episodes where I've seen the movies so far, and I'm trying to get through those before I start watching some of the stuff that I haven't seen. Their interview episodes are fantastic. I got through Cool Greg, the most recent one they had on Rebecca. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name right now. I was just introduced to her through the podcast, and she's got a show called Dead Meat, I believe, with her fiance or husband, and that seems really cool. I want to check her out. And Khalif Adams was the other interview that I got to listen to, and all of them have been so good so far. Absolutely wonderful. I know. Funny enough, this is the second time I've referenced him today.
No, you referenced him last week, remember, on Jody's episode.
Oh, sorry. I mean, last, 100%.
Way to break the immersion, Phil. Jeez.
I'm sorry.
We're doing so well.
Well, leave it to me to screw it up.
Remember, next time we need to do costume changes halfway through.
Costume
to really
changes?
commit.
Oh, okay.
Halfway after the episode. Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's such a great podcast. What a great episode that was too. What a nice young man. Nice young man, that Prince Jackson.
Yeah. And I love just the detailed breakdown of stuff that they go through.
Whoa, where did Johnny Ace come from?
Now do your best Johnny Ace. See, I need to hear it.
How's Malta, dude? How you going? It's been a while since you've been on the show.
It's great. Weather's nice. I'm winning at sports, of course. So
tennis? How's the tennis coming along?
Tennis. You know, there's only so many times you can win before it gets old. But it hasn't gotten old yet, so.
That's where this has gone.
Okay.
I gotta ask, a big thing I gotta ask. What do you think about Nick Scarpino playing Warzone?
Look, Nick Scarpino, he's one of the only people that's actually good at it. You know, he broke it down into a science that the trick is you have to play inverted on mouse and keyboard. Once you do that, then you're good to go. All these other losers out there like Andy Cortez, who's like, I'm gonna move up on the mouse and I'm gonna look up. It's child's play. Inverted mouse and keyboard. That's how you do it.
Awesome. That's really cool.
There you have it. Pro tip.
Now, do you only recommend doing inverted controls while playing on a PlayStation 5 with a keyboard and mouse, or do you recommend that even PC players do it?
Everybody should do it, but if you really want to be the very best of the best, you do it on Nintendo Switch. How? I don't know. I don't even know what's possible. But you figure it out. You figure it out, kids.
If anyone can do it, it's Johnny Ace for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
And Johnny, we've got a member that he's a huge fan of Pokemon. Kamal, you might have heard of him. What are your thoughts on Pokemon, and what's your favorite Pokemon, Johnny?
Okay, what? Sorry, what was that?
Pokemon.
It seems as though Johnny Ace may not know what Pokemon are.
You drawing a blank there?
Pokemon. What do you?
The Pokemans.
What did Mon ever do to you? Why do you want a Pokemon? I don't understand. What?
Or is they coming back into this?
Here.
Who's that?
So Pokemon stands for Pocket Monsters.
He runs my
Johnny
podcast.
Ace.
Josh.
It's good. Pocket monsters,
Pocket Monsters.
Little surprises you find in your back pocket when you've been sitting in a stranger's couch for too long. What do you? Those like old Hall's throat lozenges you pull out that have been in there covered in hair for like 10 years is Pocket Monsters.
What's been happening while I've been gone?
Johnny Ace is here now.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I had to go power cycle the whole system over there.
Oh no.
Welcome back, Jose Ruckus. We're so happy to have you back. We are now joined by Johnny Ace. Gage had to go,
Hello,
so we're really happy to have Johnny Ace Esquire here. But yeah, thanks for coming back. We're happy to have you back on. I honestly don't remember where we were or what we were talking about.
We're talking about movie and
We're
films.
talking about movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
The thing that really impresses me about you, Jose, Josh, Brandon, is just your knowledge. Like, we'll be talking and you'll pull up some sort of deep cut from a movie or music or band that I'm like, how do you know that reference? Like, it's amazing. He's got such a wealth of knowledge about it. It's amazing. So it's good to know where that sort of comes from. It's good.
Yeah, I spent a lot of the formative years of my life watching the commentaries on DVDs and reading a lot of Wikipedia pages. But yeah, like I just watched movies like my whole life really, and in high school I got a little more serious about it. But like I don't think I'm like that serious into film. Like I mean, there are definitely people who can talk about movies a lot more deeply than I can. Like a lot of people, like a film student would just like completely like tear me apart, like talking about movies, right? I have a very like general knowledge. I'm more focused on the story side of things, because that's really like what interests me about like movies, and I got a lot of comic books obviously and stuff, and I just like stories. I like sort of the art of storytelling and story structure and stuff, and that's sort of what I focus on. And then just I really like knowing stuff, and I like learning something. So I'll watch a movie and then I'll read a Wikipedia page about it, and I'll go on YouTube and start watching interviews about it, and I kind of just do that with everything.
Nice. And I can't wait to see what movies we're going to get next on HBO Max. So can you tell us a little bit about the show and what your hopes are and plans for it out for the future?
Sure. HBO Max is a show that exists because of a joke. You can go find a clip.
To be fair, it was a great joke. It was so good.
It's a good pun.
Good
it is just HBO Mac, which turned into HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
What are the plans for the show in the future? Literally none.
Yeah.
We have no plans. We have no aspirations for the show. It exists. We're gonna keep doing episodes, probably. That's about it.
Can we get some more Happy Madison movies?
There's one more Happy Madison movie that's on HBO Max. It's Happy Gilmore. We're gonna watch Happy Gilmore at some point. I think the next movie that we're going to do is A League of Their Own. I believe that's the plan.
Now that is it Gina Davis? Tom Hanks?
Yes.
Yeah. Good movie.
Yeah, really good movie actually. McKenna hasn't seen it. McKenna has barely seen any movies. Yeah, so that'll be a fun one.
Nice. Johnny, you look like you got a question over there. Have you got a question?
What? No, I'm just enjoying.
Ace just vibes.
This conversation. And I haven't spoken to another human being in about 6 months. You know, we're down in that tennis bubble right now in Malta, getting ready for the next season. We can't get COVID vaccines down there apparently because some people are telling me that where I live doesn't exist. It doesn't make any sense to me because I live there, but yeah, so we're just kind of hanging out.
You're in Malta right now, preparing for the next season.
Yes,
I'm in Malta right now.
And how do you feel about Gage? I know last time you had some strong words about one of our members, Gage. Like, what are your thoughts on him?
I don't know a Gage. Who are you talking about?
In fact, I believe you referenced him working at Walmart or something. Was it?
Oh, right. He's the one that I said should have an icicle fall on his face. Yeah, I don't like him.
That's the one.
I don't like him. He seems. I don't mean to use strong language on this show because I'm the special guest, so like I don't want to take away from anybody, but he seems kind of like a punk. I'm just gonna say he's kind of a punk. Yeah.
Wow. Strong words.
I'm pretty sure. Johnny, you know that we're in the middle of clay season right now, right? We're in the middle of the clay season right now. Are you just taking the season off to prepare for the next season?
Yeah, I've already won plenty of games this season. Like, why would I keep, like, the trophy's already mine. Like I could just walk up and be like, hey, that's mine, and they have to give it to me. So I give other people a chance to feel good about themselves. But yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think you should be careful talking so negatively about Gage because the man is very close to wrapping a noose around his neck and kicking a chair over. So can we say something nice to Gage, please?
We love Gage. Gage is great.
Shout out to Gage.
Where did he go, by the way?
Shout out to Gage. He's an amazing person.
I'm going to say this on Gage's behalf, Phil. Jesus Christ.
The show took a turn.
Now, John, you're in Malta right now?
Yeah, I'm in Malta right now.
It's interesting that you've decorated your room exactly the way the Gage does.
It's this cool app I have called NVIDIA Broadcast. Like, look, I can be in Gage's room, or I can be hanging out with my best friend. Damn it, it's not loaded.
NVIDIA Broadcast, your best friend.
Where is he?
Slightly not vertical lines.
No, he was here a second. There he is, Papa Vin. Best friend Papa Vin. I can replace the background with that, or I can replace it with Gage's bedroom. See?
Oh, okay.
And you're hanging out with all the celebs, Johnny.
So,
oh yeah.
Okay. I want to get this back on track, so I'm going to throw a community question in here for Jose.
I'm ready.
The wonderful Matt Batson at Matt S. Batson on Twitter asks, "What's the best color to drink?"
You know, I actually went back and listened to this episode not too long ago, because it's one of my favorite episodes of the Kind of Funny podcast ever. Mostly because they spend a really long time talking about Santana's "Smooth," which is one of my favorite songs. You know, I don't really know. Like, I don't have a color preference in terms of drink. I kind of go across the spectrum, and I don't find myself in a single spot for very. It's, yeah, I don't think there's an answer to this one. All the colors taste good. There are no bad colors for drinks.
I particularly like the citrusy ones. How do you feel about the citrusy colors?
I love an orange soda. I mean, Mountain Dew is kind of citrusy. Love a Mountain Dew. Clear beverages are great.
What is Mountain Dew flavor? Can we get to the bottom of this? Like, what flavor is Mountain Dew? Like, it's so weird. I love it, but it's so bizarre. Question. Do you think it is just someone that, I know this has been the rumor for a while, that it is just someone that mixed a bunch of sodas together and then just kind of, that's the flavor?
Sorry, Mike.
What
did I miss? What did I miss, guys?
Dude, you missed Vin Diesel, Johnny Ace. It's crazy.
What?
Yeah.
God, I always miss the cool stuff. No offense.
He said he's a big fan of yours, Johnny Ace.
Really?
Yeah.
Big fan of yours.
All right.
No bad.
He must have snuck into your house and took a picture of your room because he used it as his background.
It's a bit creepy, right?
Yeah, he also said, burn that rope in your top drawer. You shouldn't use it.
On behalf of Johnny Ace, Phil. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh my God.
So Mountain Dew is technically a citrus drink.
Yeah. So I believe the origins of Mountain Dew is that it was made to cut with moonshine. Like, you didn't want to just drink your moonshine by itself. So it's like a really pungent thing that you can put moonshine in, have it like be nice.
I hope that's true. That's great. That's great. That's awesome. I have another community question as well. Just this one comes from, let me just bring this up here. I had it here a second ago, but it's disappeared on me. The one and only Erica and Belina on Twitter. What are you looking forward to most for next season? But I kind of think I stole a question earlier. So that doesn't quite work.
Well, we can do another thing that I'm looking forward to.
That would be great. That'd be great.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to a new crop of players that we get to know. You know, a new cast of characters who are going to come in and hopefully be bright personalities the way a lot of the guys in season 1 were. I'm really looking forward to something like that.
Nice. Good answer. Good answer.
I found another community question, not on Twitter, but in the Discord chat.
Oh,
Gino has, the touching back on the movie thing, he says he's currently watching Tenet. Two questions. First, did you watch the movie? Second, did you get it?
Well, one, yes, I did watch it. Two, I did get it in that I own a 4K Blu-ray copy of it right up there, so I did get the movie.
Clever.
Yeah, but like I watched the movie. We asked about it. Gino got it. HBO Max.
Episode 2. Come on.
Let's go, people. Episode 2.
Episode
Yeah, there.
two.
Watch
Gino
it. It's
doesn't
a
watch
great
anything
show.
unless he's referenced. So
What's that?
I said Gino doesn't watch anything unless he's referenced in it. So if you
Well,
talk
reference
about
it,
it,
so now he has to watch this show. You know?
yeah,
He also has to watch last week's episode with Jerdy because he also was referenced in that one.
Good job, Phil, last week. Good job, buddy. Killing it. Now, I do have one other quick. Oh, sorry, I do have one other quick question, which I kind of need to find out about. Is just around the banana milk and your sponsorship deal. So, is that obviously the first of potentially many sponsorship deals you've got coming up that you're working on?
We're really hoping that it is the first of many. We tried reaching out to the people at Sprite Soda. Big fan of their grapefruit soda. That never really came together. But people, banana. Oh my god! So such great people sending me some free chocolate banana milk. Hoping to do some work with them in the future in terms of sponsorship.
That'd be awesome. Now, can you ask me, like, Sprite over here, growing up, Sprite was lemonade, but now, like, when you look at it, it says a lemonade flavored drink or something. Like, what's the deal with that? Is it not technically lemonade anymore? Yeah. Maybe it's just.
So I always see it as lemon lime soda.
Yeah, lemon lime.
Oh, is it lemon lime? Is that what it is? Okay. So growing up as a kid, though, like, that's lemonade. That was what we had, and then they just changed it up a little bit recently, so it's lemon lime flavored now.
Weird.
Interesting.
Okay.
Now, what? Okay, not to hijack the episode, but Ben, what does the word lemonade mean to you?
Well, back in the day, growing up, you go to a party, you'd say lemonade. It would be Sprite. That's what it would be. So
Is that the only thing that lemonade means to you?
Not anymore now.
Have you ever heard the term lemonade stand?
I have, yeah, and we did have those every now and then.
And that was just people selling Sprite?
I had a lemonade stand of my own, and we did make some lemonade with a heap of sugar. That's, I guess, everyone did though, right? But yeah, I had my little lemonade stand. I was very successful.
I mean, was it called your Sprite stand? Like what?
Well, no, we didn't use Sprite for that though. I eventually figured out what lemonade was.
To be fair,
Sprite
we've got weird naming conventions here in the States as well. Like if you go to places like in, I think it's Texas, everything's a Coke. Like if they have Pepsi or Mountain Dew, it's like it's a Coke. That's what you say. And yeah, so I don't blame you, Ben.
Well, it's the same with coffee over here. Like there's so many different variations of coffee, but over there, or over in the US, I know it's just pretty much black or white coffee, right? That's pretty much it.
Everything is coffee. It's just all coffee.
I look like such an idiot when I walk into the local store.
But at the same time, I feel like we probably have the most like I don't know what the proper term would be, like coffee aficionados who were like, I want the Trenta Macchiato caramel slow roast blend, and it's like, bro, do you want fucking coffee or not? Like, come on.
I went to a cafe over there and I was like, oh, can I just have a flat white, please? And the lady gave me this look like, what planet are you from? Like, what the fuck is going on? She's like, I said, a flat white? And she's like, what? And I was like, coffee? She's like, oh, coffee, yeah. And she just grabs the pot of coffee.
So yeah, like it's weird. So when my wife says, "Oh, hey, we're gonna go to Starbucks, get some coffee," and then she orders a salted caramel cream cold brew, and her friend orders a double mocha something or other, like but it's all considered under the umbrella of like coffee, even though they're
in there
completely blended beverages. That's the linking thing, is that they have some sort of espresso and or coffee injected into them.
You could also say we're gonna go to Starbucks and get some sugar water. It's kind of the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. What are your thoughts on sugar water, Jose?
a big fan of sugar water.
Me too.
We're a couple months away from the pumpkin spice latte coming back. Big fan. Big fan of the pumpkin spice cold brew as well, which they've been doing for the last year or two. Big fan of that. Cannot wait for that. I did have a caramel macchiato this morning. Big fan of that.
So
but
good.
I also drink a lot of just iced black coffee. So I can go either way.
Nice.
Great
And
podcast so far. I love it.
I think we had one community question left. Do we know who had that one, Ben? Did you send that over to somebody?
Don't
fake hair in my mouth.
So. The one from McKenna?
Oh yeah, the one from McKenna.
I
She already
believe she
asked
might
it.
have answered
I
asked that
already
at the
asked
start
that
of the show.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
But I do have a question.
Okay.
It's the same question that I ask every guest when they come on the show, which is, what is Greg Miller and how is he able to be everywhere at once?
Oh no.
Oh no!
Perfect timing.
I'm telling you, he is a robot designed and created by Greg Miller. It's why he lives in Northern California. He literally he is the robot. And that's why he can't say what Greg Miller is. It's because he's one of Greg's robots. Every time he tries to say something about it, he's going to malfunction. I'm telling you. Ask Joe Rogan.
He's back.
Don't ask Joe Rogan.
That was very convenient. Yeah.
Greg Miller, cool guy. That's all I have to say on the matter. Very, very cool guy.
Phil, you're right.
Why is he able to be everywhere? Is he? I don't.
He's deflecting here. We might be stumbling. This might be the answer that we need for our documentary. We might be getting closer.
I'm 100% not an actor that Greg paid to be a Wild Aces fan. I don't know who's been saying that, but it's not true.
We'll get to
Paid
that.
actors, that's something that we never considered. We never considered that he had paid actors that look somewhat like him, and then or just people in general that he pays to do things for him or act like him on the internet. This is a great theory. Interesting. We've uncovered something in the deflections of Jose.
I'm just stating facts. I didn't.
Wait, Jose, have you got glasses? Can you put some glasses on?
I don't have any glasses around me, Phil. You know.
Very interesting. Okay.
Convenient.
Yes. Anyway, that was my question.
Realistically, if you had the ability to just complete any dream, we've talked about a lot of stuff here, but if you had the ability to complete like a dream that you have always wanted to do, doesn't have to be like job related, doesn't have to be anything, just a life goal or dream, what would it be? And he's frozen again, isn't he?
He's frozen.
He can't save, He can't save.
Oh.
There you go. There he's back. He's back.
Yeah.
Did you hear any of that?
I did. I can hear you guys the entire time. I don't know why I'm just jumping. It's very. Man, that's a tough question to answer. At this point, I would say if I had any opportunity that I could do, I would probably want to have a job within the FCF or the Wild Aces organization as they expand out. Doing something in there, I think, would sort of kind of be the dream at this point.
That's cool. That's really cool. How far do you see the FCF going? If it keeps, if seasons keep being popular and things keep, staying on track, do you see it becoming something that is globally watched with, tens of thousands of numbers on Twitch?
That's sort of two questions in there. Do I see it being something that can get tens of thousands of views regularly on Twitch? Yes. Do I see it as something being internationally popular? No. American football is a very American thing, and this game probably has a better chance of expanding out to a worldwide audience than the NFL does. But football's making very small inroads in places, but really not a lot of other places. I don't see this being something that's, going to be people watching it like all across the world. But I can see this being a small league that just consistently pulls in big numbers on Twitch, sort of in the same way that the Overwatch League does, and something like that. The Overwatch League is very popular, but it's also not massive,
Yeah, it's just really interesting to me because last week with Jerdy we were talking about how how this the FCF got so many people that had never even touched sports or football into football. And someone like Ben, who lives all the way out in New Zealand, is now a fan, and he's chomping at the bit for the next season and wants to see what's going to happen in the FCF. And it's really interesting because it's on an online platform that's open to anybody to watch. It seems like there's a huge possibility for international people to get into it and watch it, especially with the fact that a lot of the team owners, are more than just sports people. I think that's one of the things that makes football feel so closed off, is that the people that are involved, generally speaking, care about the NFL, and that's kind of it. Where there's a lot more broad spectrum of people that are being brought into it.
Yeah, so I think that's more has to do with the Wild Aces in general than it does with the actual FCF, right?
Okay.
Because the other leagues, they were sort of trying out a bunch of different models for how ownership should kind of CF in season 1, right? You had some of the teams owned by traditional sports people, and then some of the more kind of influencer sports people like Ronnie 2K and stuff for the Zappers. And then you had them going in the full gaming direction with Wild Aces. And I think that direction works because it is way more open to an audience that doesn't watch football. There's no reason for Ben to care about Marshawn Lynch. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who Richard Sherman is. He doesn't know who Bob Menery is. I don't even know who Bob Menery is, to be honest with you. But
I know 60% of them.
But did you know them before the FCF?
Marshawn Lynch did, yeah, but the rest of them probably not.
Yeah. So as they move, they bring these next 2 teams in, and they plan season after season to bring in more teams. They really do need to go in the direction of trying to find communities Kind of Funny, trying to find personalities like Greg, who do actually have appeal outside of the sports audience. Otherwise, it is going to be a thing that just kind of flounders the same way that other alternative football leagues do, where you're just scrounging to get whoever is left over after the NFL's done.
Sure. I think that's one of the cool things about talking to someone who has been so ingrained in the FCF and what's been going on in the seasons. Because, yeah, I mean, I only watched the games that involved the Wild Aces. I only know mostly about, well, I did have a little clash with the Glacier Boys, but we won't go into that. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to be able to see it from the other side, because I thought every team kind of had a mixture of kind of influencer and sports kind of people behind it. I didn't realize that certain teams only had sports people behind them.
Yeah, the Beasts, it's Marshawn Lynch, it's Renee Montgomery, who is a former WNBA player, really, really good one. And then it's Miro, who he used to be a WWE wrestler and stuff. And I haven't seen a whole lot of people tune in because of Miro. I don't think he's a draw for a football team, in the way that Marshawn Lynch really is a draw. Beast fans are Beast fans primarily because of Marshawn Lynch. And I think secondary, I think they probably have a big fan base in Atlanta because of Renee Montgomery, because they were based in Atlanta and stuff. But yeah, I'm not sure how much. I'm sure they have numbers about it, and I would be really interested in seeing them about sort of where they think which of the owners is drawing the biggest numbers in terms of watching fans and all that stuff.
Were the games only on Twitch? Was that the only place that you could view them, or was there other places that you could see it as well?
The championship had some TV broadcasts, I think mostly in Canada, but I'm not really sure.
Sure.
there were some rumors early on that they had some kind of broadcast partnership, but we never really saw that come together. And I think that might have just been like a precursor to the championship deal. But I don't think they're going to try to get any TV deals outside of just. I think they're going to plan to stay on Twitch, and part of that is Amazon is just paying so much for streaming, right? You see it with Amazon just paid a ridiculous amount of money to get Thursday Night Football from the NFL. And I think that that's the business model they're going after. You look at like the Spring League right now, who just signed a deal with FS1 for their league. And man, Fox could not give a damn that they have the Spring League. They don't advertise it at all. They don't care. Like, I actually think it would be way worse for them to get a TV deal than to not.
Sure, absolutely. And thinking about that, having the Twitch partnership, like when you look at what happened with Ninja and Drake and how an influencer with someone, you know, very high up in pop culture can like cause an explosion of eyes on you, and drive you into becoming one of the most popular and you know, money-making machines of the streaming universe. I think that they definitely should look at more influencer ties to other teams to help kind of get the word out and spread the word and get more eyes on the FCF. Because I do think it's a great idea, and I really, like we were talking last week with Jordy, it was, you know, the production values of the FCF were insane as far as, you know, what you actually got to see in those streams.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an idea with a lot of legs to it, as long as they continue to sort of one-up themselves going into the future, don't rest on the laurels of like this being a thing that worked, finding new and bigger personalities to bring in and launch teams with and stuff. Like, and yeah, just the accessibility of it, which like sports audience amongst younger people in the United States is going down in pretty much every sport but the NBA. And part of that is that the NBA is it's a much louder league than a lot of the others. The players are they're allowed to have a lot more personality than like especially like baseball, which is just a dying sport at this point. I think the FCF being on Twitch, being on, you know, having all these influence in there, it's a way to draw in a younger audience that isn't watching a lot of sports these days. And like, I think it really can work as long as they play it right.
Now, this is a more personal question to you. With the FCF, you know, you said being over at the moment, you said that you were kind of taking a hiatus from the podcast and stuff because you were trying to figure out what you wanted to do in the off season or in between seasons. What keeps you so motivated to keep going? Like, how do you not lose interest because of that kind of cooling off period? What are you doing in the meantime?
In the meantime, I'm more just trying to recharge. Things during the season were kind of a breakneck pace because I do everything by myself, booking the show, planning the show, recording it, and then editing it and posting it, all that stuff, and doing 2 shows a week. I kind of got like a little burnt out towards the end and stuff, and I expected cutting it down to 1 episode a week would allow me enough time to sort of get back into the groove of it and stuff. But just like planning interviews while you got a full-time job and stuff can be really difficult, especially when you're just doing it by yourself. So it was, I figured I would rather take a break from content than put out content that I'm not happy with. So that's kind of what we're doing at the moment. Motivation, it really is that like, I really, really like this thing. I really like the people involved in it, and I like talking to the players. I just really care about it. And so that just sort of carries me when the season's going. It is like I'm thinking about it all the time, you know.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I 1000% respect that because, you know, we have this show and between Ben, myself, and Gage, like we have those three people trying to figure out, who our next guest is and working on and stuff. And then we have a whole litany of other people, that we just strap duct tape to and pull into episodes without their consent, and hope that they'll continue to work with us in the future. And that's incredibly hard. So thinking about the idea that you do all of this by yourself, and we're doing 2 shows a week, I can absolutely see how that could be hard and burnout, especially because, we all are, have full-time jobs and work in different time zones and all that stuff. And it's just tough. So doing all that by yourself, I can't even imagine. What was it, just the breakneck pace that kept you going?
The FCF I was very fortunate in that they were structured in a way to where there was always something to talk about. Going from the draft, finish the draft, do an episode, wait for the game to happen, do an episode, right? And so just sort of that being on that treadmill of it was always sort of easy to have an episode structure, always having something to talk about. And then it just, the only real difficult part of just staying in the mindset of it is just trying to figure out who I'm going to talk to that week. And sometimes somebody falls through and McKenna has to come on in an emergency, so it is one of those things where, like, just when you're in the thick of it and it's all just happening so fast, you're not really thinking about how difficult it is. And then the season wraps up and you're just like, wow, I'm actually like really tired.
Absolutely.
I've got to ask one question, Jose, before we sign off. But I've got to know, what was it like being in that final game? What was it like being in there? What was the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere was very strange because it is simultaneously just like one of the most exciting things while you're in it, but it's like dead quiet, and like, what should be like this raucous stadium is just like totally quiet. It's, me, Mike, Matt, Gino, and Ashley just like sitting around there clapping, trying to be as loud as possible. It's like a weird like whiplash of like the most exciting thing that you can think of in the moment, and just being like an atmosphere that 100% does not reflect that. It was very nerve-wracking because we were down for most of the game. Going into the half, we decided to go down. We were sitting up in the owner's box. After the first half, we decided to go down and actually sit next to the field. And I think that gave us like a big energy difference in terms of like sitting up there. It was just sort of like couldn't really get any interaction with the players. Couldn't feel like we were making a difference in terms of like, engaging with them, encouraging them, anything like that. And then like getting to be on the side.
So what you're telling me is that you pretty much won it for them, right? You guys were on the side there.
Look, man, I'll tell you, there seemed to be a noticeable difference from when we got there and got to cheer on the defense, especially, versus when they didn't. Like finishing a play, cheering on the defense, having them look up at you and like point at you and like give you the emotion to like keep going and stuff. Like if you talk to any athlete, they'll tell you like they really thrive the energy that they can get from a crowd and stuff. And like I do think that helped, that the Glacier Boys really didn't have anybody there to cheer for them. So like, I mean, obviously the players are making the plays and they played incredible. So like, no, we didn't win the game, but like I think we helped keep the guys going especially because that game was a longer game than they had played all year. Like that was the longest game of the season. They moved it up from, McKenna, you might remember this better than I can, but it was like 20 minutes to 30-minute halves, right?
I think that sounds right, yeah.
And so like it's a longer game, especially when they're getting into the end of it, they're getting tired. So having something that they can play off of in the crowd, I imagine actually did help them quite a bit.
Absolutely. It was interesting, like when we were talking to Judy last week, he was kind of saying that the original plan actually wasn't to have crowds in the first place. Like, so it kind of worked out well, obviously, that it didn't impact them hugely with COVID. So I've always thought that was quite surprising because, like you just said there, like a lot of the times athletes feed off that. They, it really sort of spurs them on. So I always thought that was quite interesting too.
Yeah. I was really interested talking to Patrick about that. Patrick Dees, when he's telling me that like fans were an afterthought for them in terms of like putting on the games. Like, it wasn't their concern at all. Like they wanted to have some way for like some small amount of fans to go to the games and stuff, but not really like focus on trying to create a in stadium experience, because that is actually like I wasn't able to call plays that entire game. Like I couldn't tell what was going on because I'm not being able to communicate with anybody. I can barely see what's happening in the game. It's very difficult. I don't know if any of you ever watched a American football game live. It is one of the rare sports where I think it is objectively worse to go to a game than to watch it on TV. Like you cannot tell what's going on when you're watching it. You need announcers who know what they're talking about to explain stuff that's going on. Getting so far away from the game, like you can barely see where the ball is. So it is like them trying to create such a cool experience on the, on actually watching it, really focusing on that. I think that's one of the big benefits to them.
So you talked about the energy in that final game. What was it like in the energy of like a game where they lost, like that week? If there was a loss that the Wild Aces had, what was the energy like in a week like that versus a week where they won? For you?
It's deflating for sure. Especially because it felt like we never lost because we played bad. We scored pretty much every time we got the ball. The few times that we lost, it was on, the interception that we got that was called back, even though it was definitely an interception. We lost on the 3-second Hail Mary because of Phil.
It's true.
Dinner can wait, Phil.
Dinner can wait.
So it was.
Yeah.
It was never like. There's always a difference when it feels like you've been versus that your team just wasn't as good as the other team. So the energy was always, it was deflating, but I still have the confidence that like we were actually the better team there. We just got robbed, and you're able to sort of sit on that, even maybe if it wasn't true, but it definitely was in our case.
Yeah. Oh man. It's really interesting to think about how much something that, I mean, you obviously have a lot more to play off of because you're actually doing a whole show on it. But it's always amazing to me, like how much a fan base can rally around something they literally have nothing to do with. I mean, in this case, what's really cool is that we, as the fans, do have something to do with it, which is kind of empowering on its own, which is what makes the FCF such a cool idea and something I really hope continues. But it is always interesting to see that fervor that can happen around a sporting event. And it's also one of the things that draws you into it.
Yeah. And actually, like I've talked to my brother about this a couple of times when we were planning shows and stuff, but from a content perspective, it was actually better for us to lose a couple games than to just win them all, because it's hard to do a show where you just get on and talk about, oh yeah, we won, isn't that awesome how we won, where versus like, oh, we caught an interception and the refs took it away from us. That's an entire episode I get to do where I just get to be really angry. So like, in some ways it is like, oh wow, there's actually something to talk about this week, instead of just like, oh yeah, we won, now we get to celebrate.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to have that variety in there to keep things interesting, for sure.
Yeah, I very much agree.
Awesome.
So, does anybody I think we're going to wrap it up here, I think. So does anybody have any final questions?
I have one. And it's more of a personal question from me to Jose. How do you have the gall to consider yourself Northern California?
I mean, what way am I not Northern California?
Well, because I'm the true Northern California. I mean, I'm an hour away from the Oregon border. That's as far, like, I mean, that's about as north as you can get.
I'm not from the Bay Area, okay? I'm from Redding, California, okay? We're Northern California. That's the true Northern California, okay? Bay Area, that is not Northern California. I know what you're going with here. Everything above Sacramento, that's Northern California.
Perfect. That's all I wanted.
I'll be preface that like it was a personal question. I got a very personal question for you, and then just like
It's
Northern
the most
California,
superficial
am I
bullshit
right?
question ever.
Got a personal attack for you.
Oh man.
Awesome.
What a show.
I think, and with that final personal, very personal question, we will wrap up this episode of Out of Our League. We'll quickly go around and see where we can check everyone out. First off, Gage, where can the people find you?
Hi. You can all find me at Twitter and all that other stuff at GF2Cool. It's the same everywhere. So yeah, drop a follow or whatever, and yeah. Okay, move on.
Okay. Oh, where can they find you? Phil?
Oh, sorry. I did not hear you say that at all.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like Gary Whitta moment there for a second. Phil.
I was just staring off into space. I'm like, sorry, what did you say? You can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere, either at Phil J. Woodward with 2 L's or at Philip J. Woodward with 2 L's.
Sweet. And Ben?
You can find me at Please Be Excited. Please let it be, then excited on Twitch, on Twitter. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Sweet. You can find me at PotterPants212. And finally, our special guest, Jose Ruckus. Where can people find you?
You can find me on pretty much everything at Aces Wild Pod. You can find the Aces Wild on iTunes, Spotify, anything that does podcasts, we're on it. And I think when you come on as a guest on a show, you either have to shoot for the best episode of all time or the worst. And I think I might have nailed the worst episode of all time, and I'm very happy about that.
There's a very fine line between best and worst. I think we've gone best today,
It was. I heard we had a surprise appearance by Johnny Ace. So if that's
That was
true,
pretty amazing.
then that definitely helped you out a bit.
I think that's a
Wild.
great episode.
Awesome.
Nice.
This has been a great episode. Thank you so much for coming on and dealing with my bullshit.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for dealing with my internet.
Of course. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.